We are live for another YEV. YEV, Kevin.
Why not?
Exactly. So, yeah, this YouTube podcast, live podcast, is all about a balanced approach to EVs from petrolheads, from car enthusiasts like myself, Alex, and Kevin. So, well, let's get straight into it. I'm just going to do a little intro and what I've been up to this week, and then we'll pass it around. So, my name's Tim Aylan. I've started Chargeheads 2021. You should know me by now, hopefully. If not, go and check out the YouTube channel. And this week's been crazy week. This week, I've gone to see an electric Cobra, Tesla-powered large drive unit. It was unbelievable. That video is coming in a few weeks. I went to see George Kinghorn, who was on the channel a couple of weeks ago. He's a specialist in Leaf motors and Leaf servicing. He had a very exciting classic electric Jag and Scimitar. So that'll be coming out soon. And then I went to Eco Classics and got to drive an electric Porsche 911 Targa Classic and a beach buggy. So I've been busy editing that today. So yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. Kevin, what have you been up to?
So I've been at Carfest for the last 2 days. So interested to see now there's a much larger EV presence at Carfest, including around the track. There was an entire EV section. Plenty of new EVs mixed in with the lot of the older stuff. So the two, is it Yang? I always get the name wrong. The
Yang Wang.
Yeah, that's it. They had the two cars there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they had also electric classics. Had the Bug Zapper, which is their stupidly quick Beetle-looking thing. Which, if you think you can get a lot of tire smoke off a petrol car, the amount of tire smoke off this is phenomenal. It will just smoke the tires up massively.
Tesla large drive unit in the back, and then I think it's a small unit or a Model 3 unit in the front. Oh, I can't remember the front one now. But again, if you want to check out more detail, their channel's got loads of detail on that. It's a really amazing bit of kit. It's going to be a hill climber, and they're taking it to Pikes Peak next year, I believe. What else was there, mate?
So, I mean, obviously you had lots of the fueled cars, but it was just, there was a whole section devoted to EVs with the EV Cafe having a whole stand. So a stand as big as a lot of the other stuff there. So obviously there was a Mustang Mach-E that I kind of quite familiar with on the stand. They also had the first new Royal Mail van with the King Cypher on it, which is an electric one. So the first one Royal Mail have decided to put that on is a purely electric post van.
Yeah.
They had a Tesla-powered Land Rover, just lots of stuff. And something that will appeal to probably Alex was an ID Buzz with on-air suspension. So they could lower and raise it with the AA. So the AA have a prototype vehicle which is based on an ID Buzz. And that is it's on full hydraulic suspension, so they can go up and down with it.
Nice.
So,
wasn't there, I think Silent Classics were there with their 240Z as well, the Lexus drivetrain.
That was going around the small track they have there. Again, that can smoke the tires up quite quickly. I mean, the only one that smoked the tires more is there's a very rare Jaguar, the one like Inspector Morse had. I can never remember the model number of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of every day, that smoked its tires to the point where it made them pop. So
good work.
But apparently there's quite a rare prototype version of it. But yeah, it was good to see all of the EV and petrol head stuff together in a car show to show that actually you can like both.
Absolutely.
So Alex, what were you up to this week?
I'm still in the middle of summer holiday chaos. So aside from swanning around the world of Grand Theft Auto Online in a definitely not quite a Mark 1 Tesla Roadster, I haven't done a heck of a lot of kind of getting around this week, unfortunately. But at my desk, grinding away, writing content about electric cars. Mostly it's behind the scenes this week, a bit more for me. So,
well, I was wearing my Gas Monkey t-shirt all day today. Just show love for all types of powertrains. What we got there? What we got there, Alex? Nice. Kevin,
I kind of got Back to the Future one with a DeLorean, but it's debatable whether that's electric or fueled.
Probably a bit of both, actually, like a hybrid.
As my wife told me earlier, she said, you can't wear that. That's electric. It's not a petrol car, so you can't. That's if you want to wear something petrol related. It's not the DeLorean.
No, for sure. Well, it's who knows what they're wearing on, like banana skins and beer. I think something like that.
Yeah. A car that would be infinitely better powered by electric, though. Hard to question that at all with the DeLorean.
True. Well, I think there's a little bit of new car action that we wanted to have a quick chat about, and then we're going to get straight into the conversation today, which is, are EVs going to save ICE cars? And also, are EVs going to potentially be able to be hacked by private and public departments? Let's put it that way. So yeah, this is going to be a really interesting chat, and I can't wait. But yeah, new cars this week. I just wanted to highlight a car that I came across this week, which was the Xiaomi. Guys, have you seen this vehicle at all?
Wow, it's a wild thing.
You guys seen it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
It's in there. So yeah, this Xiaomi, just to give everyone a bit of an outline, it's essentially a Porsche Taycan beta. It's nearly 1600 PS, 1548 to be precise. RPM up to 27,200. 0 to 60 of 1.9. And it has 3 motors, and it looks pretty darn serious. And it's going to be down. It looks the nuts as well, I think. And it's going to be down at Nürburgring in October, I believe. Wow. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think it's got hints of. I've seen a lot of comparisons with this visually with kind of bits of McLaren and bits of Porsche Taycan in there. I mean, as I said last week, I think when we were talking about kind of power and XS and so on, it's certainly up in the XS and certainly kind of showing what's capable with the technology, which is exciting in its own way. I'm looking forward to seeing one in the metal.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've found as well, because I associate that brand with CCTV cameras and mobile phones.
Yeah, so that's where they're from.
Yeah, so to go from, you can see the sort of scale and the way the Chinese brands are really focusing on technology development. To go from making mobile phones to having a car of that level, it's like a huge jump. I mean, could you imagine, some of the other brands doing that bigger jump? I think it just shows that actually the technological skill in China is massive now.
I guess technically that kind of stuff happened. I mean, it's a bit like the whole EV thing has got hints of the motor industry as it was kind of 120 years ago. We had loads and loads of new companies all appearing out of the woodwork, and all kind of, quite a few of them kind of coming from, like Toyota coming from like looms, and Peugeot coming from kind of wider manufacturing of wider products, and kind of coming into the automotive industry. So it's interesting kind of seeing that, I guess, happen again, but from the electronics side of things as opposed to the sort of heavy machinery side of things that we would have seen 120 years ago. And again, with the kind of a repeated after the Second World War with sort of Japanese industry really getting off the ground and kind of setting up companies as well. So it's almost like a kind of history repeating, isn't it?
I think China, they've invested so much money into all the engineering colleges, and they spent so much time buying up resources everywhere. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they are absolutely smashing it. So I mean, it is good, and being a bit of a Tesla fanboy, as you know, guys, it's good that we've at least got one company that is kind of maybe staying ahead a little bit. Because it does look like the legacy automakers are in massive trouble at the moment. That's how I see it. Well, what about you guys?
I think it's going to depend on politics quite a lot of this.
Yes,
not necessarily fairly.
No,
there are. I can see the arguments, and I can see why there would be some pushback from kind of your kind of traditional car manufacturers and so on, but and certainly kind of European and American manufacturers in particular, where this could make them look like they're kind of behind the curve a little bit. But I mean, it's been inevitable for a while, hasn't it? It's that China saw the way the market was going 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and it's got ahead of it. So it's hard to pick fault with them reaping the rewards of that approach, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's as we've said, it's history repeating itself. As you said, with the Japanese manufacturers, they were taught, as sort of after the Second World War, to build cars. They started building them better than the people had taught them. It's been the same with South Korea, with the Korean brands, that they've started to make cars better than the way, and it's the same. If you send everything over to countries where labour is traditionally cheaper and teach them how to make stuff, they're going to potentially learn how to make stuff better than the people that taught them. So you'd think they'd learn from history that these are things that happen.
No, exactly. It's a really exciting time for sure. Something that I did see in the news recently is that EU are looking to tax the Chinese. Oh, sorry, my cat brushed my camera. It's very sensitive. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So something that I did see, it will sort itself out in a minute. Something I did see recently is the fact that the EU are looking to add more taxes, and that these Chinese companies need to give all their detail about how they're funded. And if they're funded more by the Chinese government, that they have to pay more tax on the vehicles before they come in. So yeah, and it looked like I think it was mainly SAIC that were having to pay more at the moment because they are more funded compared to a lot of the others. And even Tesla took it as well. I'm just going to jump in and jump out again so I can sort my camera out. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's cooperation as well, isn't it, with that? Where the more information you provide as well kind of contributes to the size of the tariffs that you get. So yeah, it's an interesting... it is certainly an interesting time to technological diversity at the moment is absolutely staggering, and you can kind of, as you say, being at Carfest on the weekend and getting to see that diversity of vehicles all within one area where they're all, I guess, kind of pursuing different aspects of the same enthusiast community. I mean, it's an amazing time to be writing about this stuff. I think, and that's there's so much to take in at the moment. And my God, the march of power to be talking about something with 1,500 horsepower. I mean, even a decade ago, it would have felt otherworldly.
Yeah. Well, what was the Bugatti Veyron when it was launched? Wasn't that 1,000 brake horsepower?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now you've got production stuff that people can buy, which is nowhere near as costly as the Bugatti Veyron. But kind of attainable stuff. Whereas the Veyron was multi-million pounds car. You've got stuff under the significantly under that price point with 1,000 brake horsepower.
Well, the top spec MG4 is under 40 grand, isn't it? And that's it doesn't even count as an expensive car in tax terms, and that will run rings around supercars of 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
which is
I think last time I looked, they were 36 grand, and that was a couple of months ago, and they're bound to have come down by then. In fact, I'll have a look now as I stroke my pussy like a James Bond villain, because otherwise it's going to knock my camera out again.
I know because I looked this week that the MG4 is the only one of the top 10 cars from last year, the top 10 best-selling EVs from last year, where the entire model range is under 40 grand. So yeah, it is definitely under 40 grand for the top spec one, which is just, I mean, that's a ludicrous amount of power. I mean, that's the sort of, almost like the Japanese performance arms race of the 90s, isn't it? With that kind of high powered, affordable vehicles. It's
no gentleman's agreement here, though. No gentleman's agreement here.
Yeah.
We're limiting to 112 miles an hour. 23,750 pounds. There we
go. For a used one.
23,000. That can't be right.
Yeah, that must be a used.
Yeah, used one.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot of power for that money.
I'm just gonna.
Wow. That's
bang
crazy.
for buck. Bang for buck. Does anything nearly new or anything with a warranty come close to that?
Was that just to cover me saying Tesla Model 3 performance? Right. That is bonkers. That is bonkers.
That is,
right.
yeah.
I'm going to find a Tesla under 3 years old now and see how much that is, because that is actually, to be fair, you could argue a long range with a performance boost is the same performance, which it is. So I'm going to do that because I'm just a bit special and all the rest of it like that one, because I think the long range will be slightly cheaper. I'm going to have a look at that while you guys carry on with the conversation.
I'm going to just drop the Polestar thing into this because they're under 20 as well for early ones, early performance pack ones. I've seen under 20. I do keep an eye on it from time to time. I do quite fancy myself an electric project as well.
I mean, that was the one thing that was talked about a lot in CarFest, is how affordable EVs have got. Because of the people worrying about the battery life and stuff. They've actually gone lower than price parity. You can get some really nice EV stuff. And, you know, people who know about it know the battery's going to be at high 90s state of health, and there's not going to be an issue with it. And it's going to be more reliable than the equivalent ICE car, potentially, at that age.
Yeah. So £21,500 for a Tesla long range Model 3, 2021, done 48,000 miles. That's probably just in warranty. So for argument's sake, let's say 21, let's say 22, and then the performance boost to get the same performance as the X Power is 1,500 quid. So that would be 23.5. So I know what car I'd prefer, and I know there's a few years difference and all the rest of it, but
and a lot more warranty left on the MG product as well.
Because you'll need it. You'll need it. Didn't I hear actually that MG have just released unlimited mileage warranty?
Yeah, in Australia they're doing it. I don't think it's come here yet. I've been trying to get hold of the terms for that. I think it might actually have been on our group chat. Yeah, there's an unlimited mileage warranty and it's across the range. So it includes it's not unlimited. It's unlimited. It's unlimited. I think it's a lifetime warranty, but up to 250,000 or something. I can't remember. Yeah. No, it's not lifetime. It's 10 years, 250,000 kilometers.
Yes, I am being a Bond villain. Yeah, so Tesla Model 3 performance, which is 3.1 seconds, 0 to 60, although arguably a long range is pretty much the same, unless it's 0 to, however many feet. And they're like 26 grand. So, they're coming down. As I said last week, I'm spending a lot of time keeping an eye on the cheaper end of the decent cars. So the Ioniq, you can now get an Ioniq 28 kilowatt hour for about 8.5 grand now. 38 kilowatts, about 9.5. MG ZS is about 8.5. And Konas, you get Konas for 12 grand. They're just coming down. They'll keep coming down, I think, unless there's a change because of all the registrations, like we mentioned before. But are there any other new cars that we can talk about? And then we'll get straight back into the topic.
Okay, have you been having a chat with somebody this week? Quite interesting, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've been having a chat with one of the engineers from the Ford Mach-E rally car. So they've actually done a rally version, which they've slightly modified it. So again, lots of it is via software. So it's got a different software setting. It's got, what they've tried to do is it's got the steel roof rather than the glass roof, because mainly one of the reasons around that is, even though it's a stupidly toughened glass roof similar to Tesla's, when you're doing that sort of going through the gravel and stuff like that, people are wary about a glass roof. So, because I suppose it doesn't dent. So it's got the metal roof. The other thing they've got on it are they've tried to make it look traditional rally car. So think back to Colin McRae and his Focus rally car. So it's got the white alloy wheels. I think there's a picture of it on that we can bring up on one of the links. There
we go. Okay, I better share these links while you guys carry on then.
Yeah.
So you know the thing with rally cars, don't you? Metal roofs. You can spot a rally car that's won a rally because it'll have dents in the roof and the driver's standing on it. I think maybe they've just put the metal roof on for that.
Just to be, yeah. So it's designed to be a drivable one. So it's based on the Mustang Mach-E GT. So it's just, but instead of having the kind of extra performance setting, it's got a more rally focused one, which will allow it some more drift and things like that. Okay. So the weird thing is it's designed for a different type of rallying. Rallying means a different thing in the US to here. So it's more, what they class as rallying is more like our rally cross. So it's more for that you can turn up in one of those and just do that. So, because actually the rules, I was talking to them, the rules don't require, they don't actually require you to have a roll cage or anything.
Yeah, it does look quite cool with the white wheels, actually, like that. I didn't even know about that. Nice shout.
Yeah, and it's got the GT, it's the GT interior and everything.
Oh, they're like the old school Rally Sparco wheels, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what they said, to try and capture the original idea, like of the Colin McRae Ford Focus, and that was they had to be the white wheels.
Well, it's all about electric cars with white wheels, chaps. You know that already.
Yeah.
Although I don't think the TVR is going to have white wheels anytime soon. I wonder what the 0 to 60 is on this.
So it's got a rally sport mode, basically. It's the same as a GT. It's just it's got more tailored for the gravel.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. You've got nice little spotlights in the front there. Nice little. But didn't Ford say that apparently hybrids are the future now, not electric cars?
Yeah, they've been supposedly throttling back on that, which is a bit of a shame. They pulled their three-row SUVs being pulled, isn't it? And they're kind of focusing on hybrid stuff. So.
Oh my God, what are they playing at? Okay, well, I was going to get up the new Mazda, which you guys, the new Mazda that you guys informed me about the other day. It's the Mazda 6 electric.
Yeah, well, effectively, it's built with a joint venture as part of a joint venture in China, and yeah, the Mazda 6 was the old outgoing Mazda 6. I thought was always a good looking machine and a lovely thing to drive, and it was a shame that it kind of disappeared out of the UK. But I mean, there's less of a segment for that than there was. It's nice to see it coming back. I mean, that's. Good looking machine. They're doing it as a plug-in hybrid and electric in China, but they're.
It looks nice, but it's a bit bland, isn't it? It's a little bit bland.
It's not as pretty as the 6 was, but yeah, I mean they're making all the right Mazda noises, 50-50 weight distribution for the BEV, and kind of things like multi-link rear suspension and electric rear spoiler and other bits and pieces that are going to kind of just retain that Mazda-ness about it. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to give this a go. Actually, I think it'll be. I think it'll be. I think it's a pretty thing. And as I said to you last week, I mean, not that I'm anti SUV, but it's quite nice to see some things that are not yet another electric EV. There's an awful lot of, I guess, kind of similar-ish electric EVs coming out at the moment because that's what the market wants. It's nice to see a company like Mazda doing something a little bit different. And as much as the EX30 is not the EX30, the CX30 has, I think, missed the mark a little bit. This looks really promising, so I'm keen to give this one a go.
When you say Mazda making all the right noises, you're talking about a triple rotor popping and hanging, right?
Well, we're only getting a single rotor in the CX30, aren't we, at the moment, for the range extender? So.
There's literally a CX30 a stone's throw away from me, and I love the look of it. I love the look of them. I just until they're like $6,000, you just can't buy one, can you? Really?
It's a cool car. It's been very cool. 5 or 6 years previously, it would have been a really interesting car.
Mustard yellow.
I'm quite down with that.
I'm not saying it's horrific. I'm just saying. Spicy.
It's a strong look. It's a strong look for sure.
So, for sure.
Not to my taste.
Sorry, I forgot to share a couple of messages there from Fox and Folly. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, anyone that wants to whack in a comment, ask us any questions or any new cars that we're missing here, just don't hesitate to whack them in.
One thing I did see in Carfest is the 7-seater ID Buzz, which I feel it probably should have been a 7-seater when it was launched. Because I think people were expecting it to be more of a people carrier than just a 5-seat VW shaped a bit like the old school VW camper van.
Well, I don't need to show pictures. Everyone knows what an ID Buzz is, slightly longer. So, I don't want to waste people's time with those sort of images.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 5 meter long kind of amplification of some of the issues that the standard 5-seat one has. I really like the ID Buzz. But it frustrates me a bit because it's kind of go back to the concept and have a look at some of the schematics that they had for that, where you had all this kind of flexible seating on rails and all the other bits and pieces. And actually what the Buzz delivered and what the 7-seat one kind of scales up is something where you've got 2 rows of folding seats and you've got quite a lip to the, you've got one of the advantages of having an EV is you've got this kind of wonderful flat floor. And there's nothing that you can take out of the back of it. And for me, it's not quite there in terms of packaging, which I think is a real shame, because it could have really shown off what you could do with that platform. But then I guess not as many people are as keen to remove seats and things as I am. But if you look at what they've managed to get into the multivan with the system of rails where you can slide the seats and rotate the seats and all the rest of it, I'd love to see that in the Buzz, and I just think it would transform it. And also, if you look, the 5-seat one and the 7-seat one have both got the same issue with the rear window, where the back window on the sliding door doesn't open at all. You've got a little porthole type window on the back, which on a car like that, I don't know. I think I'd want a little bit of opportunity for the kids to like wind the windows down. If Peugeot can get it into the Rifter, I'm gonna have to say, you have to pick up the old family wagon. So if Peugeot can get it into the Rifter,
set the bar.
Exactly. Good old PSA got that one right, I have to say. We've got 2 seats. One row folds completely flat all the way to the tailgate, and it's a low load area. You haven't got a hump, you haven't got anything like that. Second row seats, dip them forward, lift them out. Brilliant. I just think
quite heavy though. If they're anything like because I've got on my fleet is one of the bigger versions, the e-Traveller, and I have taken the seats out, and they are quite heavy when you take the double one out.
Oh no, great.
I've not seen the e-Traveller. But with a name like that, I mean, an e-Traveller, just expect it to turn up to many, many raves and festivals. Anyway, so let's get on to the topic in hand, which is EVs and ICE cars and everything in between. So I was watching a video recently, and if anyone hasn't watched it, I urge people to go and watch it, because it was James May and Jay Leno. James May was going around Jay Leno's garage of many amazing vehicles, including Merlin engine like cars and some really amazing ICE vehicles. And then at the end, they were talking about EVs, and James May was like, "Oh well, I've had hydrogen cars, a couple of i3s, Teslas, and I've never replaced the brake pads, and I had them for years." And Jay Leno was, "I've had my Tesla 9 years, never changed the pads," which a lot of EV enthusiasts know that is the case, because a lot of regen for braking. And they'll say, "Oh yeah, no, we were talking before about how EVs are going to save ICE vehicles, because you don't really want a Hemi or a big stick shift vehicle in heavy traffic, and realistically, no one wants that if they've experienced an auto and enjoyed it, as I'm sure you guys have and I have." So and having that as a hobbyist, having that as a fun car, whether that's around the track or whether that's on a country road, I think that's where I see things going. And then we've got the other side of the hedge. Guys, do you want to explain what I mean by that?
Mainly it's about software. So most cars, EVs, unfairly get the blame for this, are quite software driven now. And coming from a software background, you've got issues where how vulnerable is software? There's always vulnerabilities being found. So, how does this work? And there's a huge amount of data you gather. So it's like the computer we're all talking to you on now. It's cars are becoming more software focused. Who's responsible to keep that software updated? How long do you keep it updated? And if there's a vulnerability found, do they do a recall on the car? And does it have the ability that, with more connected cars, a central vulnerability could render all these cars able to, you think with ADAS and all the technology on them, you could theoretically take control of steering, braking and acceleration, because all these assists can. And it's like, where do you draw the line, and how do you ensure that as both ICE and EVs, this is the important thing to distinguish, is it's not just EVs affected by this. Any modern ICE vehicle has exactly the same issues. So it's, where do you draw the line? And is it about control with EVs, or is it, there's a lot of conspiracies around this. So I think there's a lot for us to all unpick on that.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that regulations are now starting to catch up with the idea of this kind of obsolescence and the risks that come with having a vehicle that can be hacked in this way. I mean, now there is a UNECE regulation, which means that new vehicles, I think it comes into force it's come into force this year for new types. I'd need to check that in the background, but and what it means is that vehicle will have to be cyber secure for life. Now, that's not a life of 15 years. There is another UNECE regulation about software updates, periodic software updates through life, which I think does only last 15 years. But with this one, it's for the lifespan of that vehicle's time on the road. So if you think about, say, your average car having a lifespan of 15 years, being on sale for 7 or 8 years, being under development for 3 years, you're already looking at these vehicles where you could be looking at something where you can have decades ahead. You have to think about this. It's wild. It's a whole new world, really, for the automotive industry to be thinking about this. And as you say, you've got these all kinds of different ways in through the kind of the wider kind of back office systems that these vehicles are connected to, which is, as Kevin was saying, which means that you're kind of you've got all the you don't have to be in the room. With this, you can break into this if you're in the garage with it, which means moving another car out of the way to get into the garage to do stuff with it. Whereas, even as far as back as 2015, where you were starting to get Jeeps hacked remotely through the data connections on board and so on. There's a few years of vehicles where they're not going to be covered by this regulation, where there is a risk, I guess, that they'll fall out of the scope of having to be looked after in that way. But it is interesting seeing regulations are starting to catch up with that.
Yeah, where this stemmed from was I was watching a video by Jeff Buys Cars. I've not seen him do any buying of cars. It's mainly topics around EVs and about control as well. A lot of government control of EVs and what happens if that were to happen and all the rest of it. And I think it's interesting. I think it's worth having the conversation about whether it's likely in reality. I haven't got a crystal ball. Some people might think I'm a conspiracist theorist in some ways, but I think when it comes to EVs, like the guys just mentioned there, the fact that actually your petrol car can be controlled as well. So I think people need to stop worrying about the fact that EVs, they're there for control and they could stop at any moment and all the rest of it, when actually they could do that with any vehicle. And really the only safe car to be in is going to be a car with a carburetor. And same with I suppose, an end of the world type scenario, like a Mad Max scenario where, yes, okay, if you've got an electric car and the electric pulse of whatever, or the nuclear bombs or whatever has destroyed all the electronics, you just happen to have an EV and you can charge it from solar and you're absolutely fine from an electric Mad Max scenario. That'd be a good film, right, guys? I'll be up for that.
Yeah.
I won't be the guy spraying that weird stuff in my mouth, though. That looks a bit painful. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know whether people go into that level of detail, and I know some people dismiss it as tinfoil hat, but I just think it's quite an interesting subject. And sometimes it just seems to be just another thing to have a moan about EVs for.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to control the supply of petrol than it is to control the supply of electricity. I mean, if you're, when society collapses and you're living in your kind of hut in the woods, it'd be easy to get hold of some kind of solar panel and battery scenario from scavenge it from some industrial park somewhere and kind of set yourself up in the woods and live off grid with your EV than it would be to try and do it with a petrol diesel car. Also, I mean, you wouldn't have to change the brake discs, as we've just said, but servicing requirements are significantly less. And I just, for me, I think I find the whole thing very flawed when people kind of talk about it being a control thing. Because the UK got regulations on kind of smart charging requirements. So your new charging points at home and workplaces have to have that ability for remote control of charging sessions and the ability to randomly defer it. But it's also, if you read the same regulations, and my God, they're not that hard to pick through. It actually says in those regulations, it must be possible for the user to bypass, any deferred charging sessions or anything like that, and they have to opt into the ability for the utility company to switch off the charge or delay it or whatever. So I just think
we agree to the terms and conditions without reading them all the time, don't we, Alex?
Well, yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, this is it. People don't read things at all. I mean, this is people get all hung up on kind of some minute detail in an instruction manual, but then they're kind of sat in a local kind of in an airport coffee chain in somewhere abroad where they haven't got data coverage, and they'll be kind of signing up for the free Wi-Fi and agreeing to give away details about their sexual preferences and menstrual cycles. You just kind of look at it and go, come on, guys, we give away an awful lot of information all the time. All of us will have followed somebody on social media who vastly overshares every single thing that they do. I follow people who check in every time they have a dump at work, for example. You just think, people overshare all the time. The car is another layer of that. But I guess there is an angle with this that actually, I mean, the cars are incredibly powerful data collection machines. Aside from your smartphone, there are a few devices in modern life that know you as well as your car. I mean, I've had temporary visiting cars here, press cars here, where they haven't necessarily been cleared of things, and also where I've had them for a few days, and it's kind of gone, oh, it's this time of day. You usually drive to here, and it'll tell me, like, say, school run stuff, or it'll tell me like Waitrose down the road or something like that. I say Waitrose because I specifically had a car last year that not only took me to Waitrose, it navigated me to the corner of the car park where I always park. So our cars know when we're getting up, they know when we're driving, they know when they've kicked in the
You're showing something here, Alex. You're driving to Waitrose for a start.
No shame. I park away from the door dings. That's why. It's always the same spot. Park away from the door dings.
Okay, right. I've got a theory about door dings in car parks. If you park away from everybody else, that's where the people that can't park drive. Therefore, you get a ding on your car. If you park in the tightest possible space close to the door, it's the people that can drive. That's the way I see it, and I never get door dings.
To be fair, if you're an EV9, every space is the tightest possible space you could fit in.
There's a video of me making an uncomfortable squeak as the actually it was in Waitrose. I did the remote driving out of a parking space thing, and obviously an EV9 makes no noise, so you push the button on it, you hear the fans kick in, and then it does nothing, and the lights are on, and then about 2 seconds later it just lurches forward out of the space. It's like nearly 3 tons of SUV like coming at you, and you're wait. And so the first time I did this, I recorded it on my phone, and you can actually hear me going, oh, this thing like lurches towards me out of space.
I've got a slightly different story. When I was parking up in Home Bargains, and this is a real story actually. I drove in, and I've never even seen it before. It basically said like on the screen, it was like, oh, there's space here. I was like, oh, not seen that before. Press the button, and it reversed into the space like so easy. It did take 1 and then 2 goes, but I was like, wow, it's never done that before. Hasn't done it since. So obviously Home Bargains has got like the right lines for the Tesla. Just if you ever want to check out the cheaper value brands, Alex, that's where you get them.
Home Bargains is great for Hot Wheels. Kev knows. Kev knows too.
What's this? Alex just identified himself as liberal elite, anti-EV types rantabout.
Oh no! It gets even.
I've lost everyone's sound.
Do you know what's? I can hear you.
Oh, is he talking?
1 sec.
Oh, hello. So hang on.
It gets funnier just to pick up on that point, actually.
Hang on. Oh, there we go. Got it. Sorry, we had an issue there.
Next door to Waitrose is a Tesla garage. The only Tesla garage in Wales is next door to my local Waitrose. So.
And what car have you charged on that Tesla garage?
Oh yeah, I've charged there. It's quite a useful local charging stock because it's significantly cheaper than any other rapid chargers around here. But
I remember that Tesla garage quite well because it's certainly
yes,
Grant may have taken me in it when I got the original record in the Mach-E. It was stickered up saying triple Guinness World Record holding car, and one of those was taken off Tesla. And Alex directed me into the Tesla garage with that car all stickered up.
Oh dear, oh
It
dear.
was something to do on the way home from getting my avocado toast. So, you know.
Standard. Yeah, it's I'm completely lost now. Completely lost. Where were we?
We've gone from privacy issues and the end of the world to shopping at Waitrose. I mean, I don't know where I'm going to get my avocados from when I'm living off grid, but yeah, maybe there'll be a way.
The orangutans are, mate, and grow some more. I love an avocado. Don't get me wrong. So
yeah, I mean, obviously,
15-minute cities. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, this is a thing that really annoys me in stuff is how it's so misinterpreted. It's like, it's not that you're not allowed to travel 15 minutes. It's the idea that really for the environment and stuff, we should be able to access everything we need within 15 minutes if we choose to. It's to make sure that everything's there. So you've got your doctors, you've got your hospitals, you've got all of those facilities you use within 15 minutes, so you don't have to rely on cars. Because if we're all totally honest, the best kind of car journey is when you don't have to make, using things like micromobility. And then we can use cars for those nice long road trips that we all love on those great country roads and things like that. And that's what it's about. But so many people misinterpret it and say as soon as you drive more than 15 minutes, your car's just going to stop. I mean, it's going to cause a lot of congestion with all these cars abandoned 15 minutes away from their homes.
Yeah. If you've got a 2011 Nissan Leaf, it probably is 15 minutes, to be honest. Unless Kevin's driving, you might push it to 17. But yeah, so that's it. Oh, do you know what, guys? Actually, I'm really excited about this, and I think someone needs to buy it on behalf of Chargeheads and just donate it to the cause. There was a yellow Nissan Leaf on eBay, $2,000 starting from. It's only got 7 battery squares, so it's probably about 40-mile range, but still bright yellow. Have you ever seen a bright yellow Nissan Leaf, properly painted as well, like from factory?
No.
Actually, where have I seen? No, I've only seen the ENV 200. Because didn't New York have loads of taxis in bright yellow with modified front steering racks so they could turn tighter like a London taxi?
Yeah. It didn't really take off, though. It was a Taxi of Tomorrow project, wasn't it? The New York ones. It's one of the many, many things. I mean, Nissan seemed to spend years doing trials of ENV 200s with postal services and all sorts of bits over the world. But the ENV 200 was the Taxi of Tomorrow thing for New York, and I don't know if it ever really took off.
Well, talking about ENV 200s, which is the Nissan van electric one, if people didn't know, when I was at George Kinghorn Electric Vehicles there to check out his EV conversions and all that, he was servicing a blue one, which looked really, really nice, actually. It was all done up a little bit, and apparently he had a spare battery pack in the back to extend the range. So it was like a 60-something kilowatt-hour battery pack. So it does, fair bit of mileage, although it doesn't sound like it was quite... It wasn't my
worst. I had my worst ever driving an EV in an ENV 200.
Really?
Yeah, so I'd been driving around in a Renault Zoe for 6 months, and I was commuting at that point to and from St Albans in it, doing 2 stops on the way. Pretty simple, short stops. It was kind of pit stop time. I kind of had my old electric highway card. I'd kind of roll into the services, jump out the car, tap it, go in, come back out, and I knew exactly how long to charge it for to get to the next services. Have my breakfast at the first one, a rest stop at the second one, and a coffee, so that I was ready to go when I got to the office. No problems, completely confident. I'd had other bits and pieces in the meantime, things like e-golfs and all the rest of it. Anyway, came to the end of this term with the car, and being quite interested in kind of the idea that you should. I mean, I think there's a real need still for good electric MPVs, which is why I've got an issue with the Buzz. Not quite hitting the design brief. ENV 200 came in, and it was a cold day in January, February in 2017. And I was just like, fine, I'll just drive this home from St Albans. It was doing 50 miles on the motorway to a full charge. It took me somewhere like 5.5 hours to get home. And I got to a point where I bought gloves in Reading, their services, which was my first stop on the way back, and it barely made it there. And I was like, right, I'm going to drive with the heating off. And it was all the things that when people tell you about going long distances in an EV, this is what it's like. And I'd had 6 months of it being so easy that I'd just gone into this like, oh, it's like a normal car. And it was awful. And there was a point near the Severn Bridge where you get down close to sea level. And I actually had, and I'm not joking, I actually had ice forming on the inside of the windscreen because it was so cold inside. It was terrifying. It's the only drive I've ever done in an EV where I've really struggled. Everything else, I've never had any issues at charging points or anything like that, or all these kind of things that people make out like driving EVs as long range is awful. It wasn't. That car, I did the wrong thing with it basically. Interesting otherwise, but yeah, just wrong for that kind of usage.
Balance. I did drive to where was it? Durham and back this week. And that was 4 hours there, 4 hours back. Charged 100% at home, so like £7, right up to Durham. I did a trickle charge off George's solar panelled roof and probably got about 4% because I only really use Tesla chargers because I'm a bit of a, I like to save money, simple as that, and speed, all the rest of it, reliability. And it wanted me to go up north to come back down again. So I did the trickle charge on my granny charger, which I've used second time I ever used it in 2.5 years. Always leave it in the boot. And I got down to Scotch Corner. I was there for half an hour, charged up to 85%, and came back down again. Really, really simple. I mean, half an hour wasn't the end of the world at all. And funny enough, Scotch Corner on the negative side, I don't know if you guys know it. It's the only Tesla charger I've queued at. And it was only like 10 minutes or something like that. Not too bad. Just as a bit of a contrast there, anyway. I've not had a similar experience in a ENV 200, similar weather from Devon to mid Wales. There we go.
See, this is the thing is that there's nothing that quite does the family stuff like a proper MPV, and I'd really like to see some more. I mean, the ENV 200 in theory is a really interesting product. It's just if you had one, you'd still need to have something else to go. I mean, you could rent something if you need to go on a family holiday. It just doesn't go quite far enough to be as versatile as it needs to be, which is a shame, really. But got wonderful products now, like the Peugeot.
Speaking of cold weather, when I was at the Car Fest, I caught up with Chris and Julie Ramsey, who did pole to pole in a Nissan Ariya.
Yes, I'll put it on the screen because that is definitely worth checking out. What was the vehicle like? I mean, I saw it. It was amazing looking thing.
Yeah, the interesting thing is it looks heavily modified, but actually talking to them, the only thing they modified was they had to cut the arches to fit the bigger wheels in, and that was mainly because of some of the ice road, just to have that bigger surface area to spread the weight of it. And the only things they modified
to pole to pole is a drying technology, a magnetic modification in the Arctic.
There we go. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so the only modifications they did to it were the things you see just there, which is the towing attachments, because if they got stuck, they did have to pull it out of the snow. But it's just, it was such, it's quite inspiring watching it and talking to them, because they're just ordinary people who just wanted to show what can be done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only thing with it is the bigger wheels. They had to cut the arches. It's actually still on the standard Nissan Ariya suspension. With those. Yeah, they didn't have to modify the suspension. It was just to cut the arches to get the wheels to fit.
It's jacked up though, surely. It's raised. The ride height's been raised on it, isn't it?
No, it's just the wheels that do that. It is literally just the wheels. The only thing that failed on it was a rock of ice actually broke the steering rack, and that was, as Chris himself said, that was driver error, not the car. Yeah, and some wheel bearings, because those wheels were never designed to be on a car like that. But everything. The only things they had to do is they've got a big skid plate on it underneath because of how penetrating some of the ice can be. Literally, you have to use speed to get over some of it, and it can just rip through things. But yeah, they're just so down to earth to talk to, and it's just really kind of inspiring. Then they are in the process of writing a book about it, so probably be worth a read of all the stories from that journey.
See, solar panel in the woods, with your avocados. There's your
big
machine.
Arctic truck wheels.
Exactly that.
Yeah, there was a TVR Chimera 400, I think it was, that did a pub to pub. Do you know about that one, guys?
Yes, I do. Northernmost to southernmost pub. Yes.
Yeah. So that looked an amazing journey, and I mean that would be fantastic to do in the TVR. Although I think my liver would probably be a bit harmed, let alone the car, into that journey. But yeah, definitely want to do something like that. In fact, I was talking to Kevin actually this week because I like to watch a bit of Auto Alex. It's a popular. It seems to have taken over a bit from the kind of Top Gear style car journalism on the platforms, and they did a Reading to somewhere in Germany in a A6 V10 petrol, which the Audi range, they said it was 320 miles, and they did something like 500 miles. And I said, Kevin, we need to jump in Rusty and do the same thing. In fact, I think all three of us should just do a long journey somewhere in Rusty and see how far we can get.
As long as it's not over 569.6 miles.
But we've stopped at the pubs along the way. Lucky you, because you're the only one who doesn't drink. So
that's a designated driver.
Right, great news, Kev. You can drive. You can try and beat your current world record. Me and Alex will sit in the back because I've got that new rear screen in the Tesla, and we can just watch Netflix. Or old runs of Kevin's upset. He's gone.
What's wrong? My camera decided to drop out at that very precise moment.
So yeah, me and Alex will just chill in the back and just watch the screen, and Kevin can focus. And yeah, that sounds like a video. What do you reckon, guys? Should we do that video?
Northernmost pub in the UK.
Sorry, anyone that's watching, give us a like, give us a share. Want to make sure we're trying to improve and increase the reach of the YEV channel. Sorry, Alex.
Northernmost to southernmost pub. The interesting car to do that in actually would be. I know you're a Tesla fan, Tim, but the most interesting car to do that in would be one of the really early Konas to prove that actually they've still got over 300 miles range in them. Because I'm pretty certain on the right tyres, that could an original Kona could do 300 miles easily.
I'm determined for you to drive the Tesla long distance because I think that you'll love it. So I think what we should do, right, start the pub, as Alex rightly mentioned there, because then we can get smashed. We can have a little sleep in the back while Kevin focuses, and we'll go to town on the aero. So we'll go tape up all the seams, just make it as aero as possible. And I mean, we're not exactly going to be like having all three of us, but maybe we'll take out the passenger seat. We won't need that, will we? Because we'll be in the back.
I won't make any comment about shut lines then. When you mentioned taping them up.
Mic drop.
Anyway, what else could we improve the efficiency of Rusty with to try and make it? What do you reckon, Kevin?
Something you won't like doing is because it's smaller wheels, but you like big wheels, don't you?
This is where you're wrong, Kevin.
All right.
I've now got to the point where I'm so fucking sick of all the potholes. I run 18s. These aero discs just make them look bigger than they actually are.
All right.
Yeah.
So do they overlap the tires a bit, the aero discs then?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like the Cybertruck's wheel trims which go over the tires slightly.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that reminds me of this guy who's locally to me. I met him in the petrol station. I can't remember what I was driving. Obviously something nice. And he pulled in a Prius, and he'd literally gone to town on the aero, like massive, like looked in the car, like what's he done there? And I just had a chat with him, and it's purely aero, like trying to absolutely get everything out of every milliliter of fuel. So I think we should do that, guys. I think we should tell our wives that we need, or other halves, what have you, need a couple of days off to do this, what is a momentous journey.
Remember that? Do you remember that thread years ago about the guy with his Corsa who was tracking it and he folded the back seats down to save weight? Do you remember that?
No,
One of those internet thread legends. It was yeah. I was never entirely sure that it was anything other than a bit of a skit, but I'm actually fairly sure it was serious. Yeah, about folding the back seats down to save weight.
Maybe take them out, but folding them's not a bit of a false economy, I would have said. Unless he had no windscreen, maybe, and he needed more airflow, and the back seats were kind of catch. Because actually, there's a funny. Do any of you ever remember the music video with JK in and all his supercars in it? All his Lamborghinis and stuff like that.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, there's a funny fact about that actually most of the filming, early on the filming, he smashed the front screen on the Lamborghini.
Oh, yeah.
So most of that video is shot with his Lamborghini with no front screening because they couldn't get a replacement.
There we go. Lamborghini parts. I'm sure it's a VW part anyway, but I can't believe we've just been gassing away. That's probably the wrong term, but we've been gassing away.
We've charged through the hour, is what you mean.
That's better. That's well, a bit of both. We're balanced, as everybody knows. We're getting closer to 9 o'clock, and do you know what? I think next week we might. I think we'll talk a bit about insurance and risk for EVs, because I think that's quite a good contentious subject for us to get involved in. But I just wanted to. I'm sure you guys might have something to add to this potentially as well. But I just wanted to do a bit of housekeeping, I suppose, which is first of all, again, please please share as much as you can on all platforms. Really helps. So much appreciation for that. There's the new Chargeheads t-shirts out. I completely forgot. So jump on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, just send us an email with what size you need. It's £15, £4 postage, or pay £15. Let us know what size, and you can pick it up at the EV Festival, which is on the 8th of September. And I'm going to be there with Rusty, maybe another electric car. Nick Mason, Dr. Nick Mason is going to be there with a electric 911 Porsche Targa Classic. Russ, my mate, he's going to be there with his Lotus Evora, Tesla powered. Going to have another EV there as well, conversion, and there'll be some modified cars there as well. That's just the Chargeheads area, so I'm sure there's loads of other cool stuff that's going to be there. There was something else I was going to talk about as well. Let me just think about it. But guys, is there anything you want to add to finish this off, so to speak?
Not off the top of my head, no. It's I'm back. I'm still on school run duty again this week, so I'm slightly devoid of interesting stories as per usual at the moment. But always interesting.
I'll be in a new Kia Niro EV from Friday, so I'll see what that's like, because I'm interested to compare that to the Kona EV, because they are very similar platforms. So be interesting to see how that fares.
And I've got two more things to finish off with. The one that I just remembered, which is stories, EV stories. Please send them to us, whether it's charging, whether it's running out of range, whether it's something you've driven, which was amazing. Send it to chargeheads@gmail.com. And last but not least, this week, my video, got a channel called Chargeheads UK. You might have heard of it. This week, I do 3 battery tests on Rusty. 3. So that will show some interesting results, no doubt. And also, I've got a 4th one lined up as well. So that's going to be really exciting to talk about. I've yet to do that video, but I've got loads of videos coming up, really, really good ones. So keep tuned.
Yeah, I think maybe to add to the EV stories, if anyone's got anything they'd like us to cover and discuss, leave it open to the audience to see, if there's a real subject you'd like us to look into and actually have a chat about, we can do that as well.
Yeah, or we can just keep talking about, where Alex goes to shop every week, which was always entertaining. But no, thanks everyone for watching, listening, and no doubt I will see you all next time. And see you later from me.
From me.
Take care. Bye-bye now.